Now hold this, right in the middle of New York summer, with Yankee Stadium pulsing and the division getting tighter by the day, two pieces of news dropped like bombs in a hard fan base, and they could change everything we thought about how the season was headed. The first brings a big-name player who could reinforce the rotation like few others. The second involves a bold potential trade with a player many underestimated, but who is being coveted by serious rivals. If you've been rooting for the Yankees for decades or just recently fell in love with the team, you already know this time of year is not for the faint-hearted. Every rumor can be a turning point. Every front office decision can bring us closer or push us farther away from that long-awaited World Series. And in this video, you'll understand why these moves are shaking the backstage of the Bronx. So go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and stay with us until the end, because the next few hours might define the Yankees' future in 2025. And you won't want to miss a single detail. News number one, an injury, an unexpected repositioning. And now, a name rising from the ashes with the weight of a decision that could shape the coming months in the Bronx. While Jazz Chisholm Jr. prepares to return from an oblique injury, a question starts to bother the quiet, history-filled corridors of Yankee Stadium. If he was going to take over third base, why would the Yankees be eyeing young Moncada? This doubt echoes like a warning. It's not just another rumor loss among many in this decisive month. It's a possible move that could redefine Aaron Boone's game plan, expose vulnerabilities the front office insists on hiding, and show once again that the quest for the World Series inevitably passes through unpopular decisions. What seems simple at first glance, a team interested in strengthening the infield, is actually the surface of a much deeper dilemma. Yankees fans have seen this before. They've felt this feeling, that pit in the stomach when news breaks the routine and turns what was just another Tuesday in New York into a possible turning point in the season. History has taught us to recognize that scent in the air, like when A-Rod arrived amid skepticism, like when Luke Voit doubted, exploded, and became a symbol of a resilient lineup, or when Harrison Bader appeared unexpectedly, already in the playoffs, to ignite the Bronx with energy and instinct, moves that seemed small but carried historical weight. So now, faced with a name like Moncada, the fan base finds itself again at a question mark. At 30 years old, he's having a quietly efficient season with the Angels, with 5 home runs and .812 OPS and a much more aggressive batting performance than in recent years. Moncada is starting to show signs of recovery, signs highlighted by R.J. Anderson from CBS Sports, who said, "He's hitting hard line drive style with patience at the plate." And this is not just any phrase. It's the kind of analysis that sticks in the minds of fans, and especially in the heads of executives like Brian Cashman. Even more so when dealing with a player in a contract year, on a team clearly heading towards selling at the deadline. The Angels, with a record below .500, are increasingly close to parting with their veterans in search of assets for the future. Moncada, in this scenario, becomes trade currency. But why exactly would the Yankees be interested if Chisholm is already projected to take third base when he returns? This is a question that opens the doors to the backstage. The first point is the unpredictability of Chisholm's injury. Obliques are tricky. Rushing back can cause setbacks. And in a season where every series can decide home field advantage and strategic playoff edges, the Yankees can't afford to blindly trust a medical timeline. Moreover, there's the roster question. As much as Aaron Boone publicly says he trusts LeMahieu at second base, the veteran's recent performance has raised internal doubts. DJ's offensive inconsistency, combined with the loss of defensive mobility, may be causing the front office to consider quiet alternatives. Moncada, in this sense, would fit as insurance, a wild card, a name that doesn't require tactical adaptation, and who has already played under pressure both in Chicago and on the Cuban team, where he was a star from a young age. Even though his versatility is limited, he has only played third base in the last 7 years. His experience and presence at the plate might be what's missing to balance the infield line. The presence of Paul Goldschmidt at first base and Anthony Volpe as the unquestioned shortstop seem untouchable. But everything around them is under constant evaluation. Boone himself has been questioned for how he manages playing time, and including Moncada in a rotation system with DJ and Chisholm might be the ideal way to avoid new wear and tear. The question is whether Moncada himself would accept that role. Since 2018, he's been a full-time starter, and losing playing time could impact his morale at a moment when he needs to show value to get renewed by some team next winter. On the other hand, there's the risk of doing nothing, and that might be the biggest fear of Yankees fans today. The fear that the front office, trusting too much in the current talent, repeats the mistakes of previous years and reaches the playoffs with obvious holes in the lineup. The trade for Moncada, even if not perfect, would be a clear sign the team is willing to act, adjust, and anticipate problems before they turn into tragedy. The worst possible scenario would be a new Chisholm injury or a definitive collapse by LeMahieu, forcing Boone to improvise too late, with AAA players or last-minute gambles. Now, if this trade actually happens, the impact will be immediate and not just technical. It will shake the environment. It will generate debate in the press, among fans, and especially inside the clubhouse. How to fit Moncada into a team already full of stars and established egos. How to convince him to accept a less central role than he had in Chicago. And how to deal with the fact that even playing well, he might not have guaranteed space in October. These are questions the Yankees front office must answer coldly, because what's at stake is not just a spot in the rotation. It's the identity of the franchise. Are the Yankees still the team that dares? Or have they become conservative, moving pieces only after chaos is set in? At this point, it's impossible not to throw this discussion to you who are watching. What would you do? Does Moncada have space in this roster? Is it worth giving up a prospect or bullpen pieces to have him for just 3 months? Or is the risk too high for a player who offers neither defensive flexibility nor a bench profile? Comment down below, because your view is an essential part of this debate. This channel doesn't exist without the Bronx community, and this is where the voices from the stands gain weight. And get ready, because in the next video we'll talk about another name that has already passed the Yankees' radar and might be in silent negotiation at this very moment. A name that, if it appears in the headlines, will surprise many, but could be Brian Cashman's real trump card this deadline. The infield saga is far from over. If you enjoy this type of content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon, leave a like, and share it with that fanatic Yankee friend who follows every rumor as if it were Game 7 of the World Series. Because here, we live the Yankees as they should be lived, with emotion, with information, and with soul in the Bronx. Because in the end, every trade is more than just numbers. It's about legacy. And at Yankee Stadium, every decision still echoes like a home run in the top of the 9th inning. News number 2, silence. But not the ordinary kind you hear on a cold afternoon in New York. This is the heavy silence of something about to happen. The kind of atmosphere Yankees fans know all too well. A tension in the air that lingers when the Bronx starts to heat up with speculation, when rumors are no longer just backstage chatter, but clear signs that the trade deadline is approaching. And with it, the decisions that define the future of a season or destroy the hopes of a dream. And in the middle of the silent storm, a name no one expected emerges. Dylan Cease. One of the most sought-after pitchers on the market might be about to change teams. And the central piece of negotiation isn't a star, isn't a top prospect. It's J.C. Escarra, a name still overshadowed within the roster, but who seems to be the link between two franchises with opposite yet urgent ambitions. If this sounds familiar, it's because the Yankees have been here before. Last-minute impact moves, controversial trades that split the fan base, surgical decisions that seem quiet at first, but turn out to be essential by season's end. It happened with Tino Martinez, with David Justice, with Scott Brosius, players who didn't arrive with fanfare, but became part of Yankees history. Because in New York, it's not just about talent. It's about the right moment, the right piece, and the courage to pull the trigger when the time comes. And today, all eyes are focused on that. On what could happen between the Yankees and Padres behind the scenes. According to reporter Buster Olney, Dylan Cease is now considered a name available on the market. What seemed unlikely just days ago has now become one of the hottest stories of the pre-deadline period. The Padres, even with a respectable rotation,
despite still
are
playing at a high level,
willing to use Cease
represents
as trade bait to strengthen other areas of the roster. The reason is clear. They won't reach the playoffs, but they know they need more consistency behind the plate. And that's where the Yankees come in with something few teams have right now. Real depth at the catcher position. J.C. Escarra, still a rookie, appears as an intriguing piece. While the mainstream media still treats his name with some indifference, executives and scouts across the country have been following his development. According to Mike Axissa from CBS Sports, Escarra is a quietly popular target on the market. A player who offers immediate and future value, with the ability to step into a starting role as early as this season. For the Padres, who have struggled to get offensive production from the catcher position, he could be the answer, and the best part, without compromising the defense. A trade for Cease would make sense on both sides of the deal. But why would the Yankees consider giving up a young and inexpensive talent for a pitcher who could walk at the end of the year? The answer lies in two crucial points: need and timing. The Yankees' rotation does have big names: Max Fried, Carlos Rodon, and eventually the return of Luis Gil form a promising backbone. But the word that defines the situation is instability. Injuries, inning limits, inconsistent performances. All of these issues are haunting the franchise at the moment it needs steadiness the most. Dylan Cease, even if not perfect, offers something essential: presence. He's a pitcher capable of taking the mound in Game 2 or 3 of a playoff series and carrying the weight of a season on his shoulders. And if we look at the Yankees' recent history, it's clear how much that matters. In recent years, the lack of a reliable mid-rotation arm has cost them dearly. There have been October games where the bullpen was overworked, games where there was no one to hold a score, while the offense tried to rally, and in October baseball, where every detail turns into drama, and every play is a risk. That kind of gap becomes way too expensive. That's why, even if Cease comes as a rental, his presence could be the difference between frustration and a return to the World Series stage. From the Yankees' side, parting ways with Escara is a calculated move. Austin Wells is already established as the starter, a young catcher, solid defensively, with a developing bat and the trust of manager Aaron Boone. In addition, Ben Rice, another emerging offensive talent, has begun to gain playing time and is being tested in different roles to ensure his talent doesn't get stuck on the bench. In this context, Escara ends up becoming a luxury that can be converted into a necessity, something rare for a franchise that usually protects its young players with care. But 2025 is not a typical year, and maybe this trade shows exactly that. The time to win is now. The dilemma, however, remains, and the fans feel it. Would a trade for Cease be a masterstroke or an irreversible mistake? What if he arrives and doesn't re-sign? What if he gets hurt? What if he crumbles under the pressure of the Bronx? Escara could blossom in San Diego, become a starter, and 2 years from now, we might be looking back at this deal as another one that slipped away due to a lack of patience. But if Cease comes in and delivers what we've already seen from him, if he dominates key games, stabilizes the rotation, and helps the Yankees survive October, then every part of the risk is justified. This is a negotiation where there is no right or wrong. There is only courage. Courage to take a risk. Courage to understand that sometimes, to win, you have to sacrifice even what seems promising. And the Yankees, more than ever, need to show they're not afraid to take that step. For the Padres, it's a chance to solve an old problem with a solution that maybe only New York can offer. For the Yankees, it's a chance to turn surplus into power. And for us, the fans, it's the moment to stop, take a deep breath, and imagine what comes next. And this is where I turn the question over to you. Is J.C. Escara worth the risk? Is Dylan Cease really the right name to reinforce this rotation? Or should the Bronx wait for an even bigger name? A bolder move? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because your opinion is a living part of this channel. Here, every fan's voice matters, because it's the soul of Yankee Stadium that keeps all this beating. And get ready, because in the next video, we're going to explore a name that's been gaining traction behind the scenes as a possible secondary piece in the same deal. A player who might be included at the last minute, but who, in the end, could shift the entire balance of the trade. A move that, if confirmed, will make noise. Because with the Yankees, nothing happens by accident. And when it seems like all is calm, that's when the bomb goes off. So, Yankees fan, what would you do if you were in front office? Make the trade now or wait until the last second? Leave your comment down below. Drop a like if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any breaking news from the market. The race for the World Series is just beginning, and the next twist could come at any moment. See you next time.